Hi there, this is Ilise Benun, your marketing mentor. And this is the podcast for you if and only if you are ready to leave the feast or famine syndrome behind, and I mean for good. Do you want to know how to differentiate yourself from everyone else who does what you do or offers the same services as you? The answer is simple, but as with most simple things, easier said than done. The answer is you. You must bring yourself into every nook and cranny of your business, from your elevator pitch and the headline on your LinkedIn profile, through the copy and messaging in all of your marketing materials, and even into your proposals, if you want to win them, that is. That's how you will get the best work with the best clients. Or, as Danielle Hughes Lisa Mullis and I like to say, that's how you gain confidence, comfort, and cash. But we know it's easier said than done, and that's why we have come together to collaborate on a new bundle of bundles. It's called Profit from Your Personality, the ultimate toolkit for attracting and landing more clients you'll love working with. And on today's episode, the three of us had a very lively conversation, and if you know any of us, you'll know it can be lively. We talked all about what it actually means to infuse your personality not only into, but all the way through your business. So listen and learn. All right. Welcome, Danielle and Lisa, back to the podcast.
We're so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun. This is new. I invited Danielle and Lisa, and I'll have you introduce yourselves, of course, because we have something really special that we're collaborating on, and we wanted to talk about it together. So before we get to that, Danielle, why don't you give us your elevator pitch?
Absolutely. Danielle Hughes, the Chief Personality Officer of More Than Words Marketing. And I work with individuals and organizations to put more personality into their bios and their communications so that they create stronger connections with the right audience so they can repel the wrong one.
I love repelling the wrong audience. That's the best part.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye-bye. And Lisa, please tell us your elevator pitch.
Yes. Hello. My name is Lisa Mullis, and I'm with Paraphrase Communications. I am a brand strategist and copywriter, and I work with service-based professionals to help them clarify their messaging and streamline their marketing so that they work with better clients, regain their time, and take home more money.
Awesome. And both of you obviously have honed and refined your elevator pitches, as you should. And also the thing I notice is that they're both infused with your personality. So I imagine you are each profiting from your personality in this way. Right?
Ding, ding, ding,
Yes.
ding.
Ding, ding, ding. So that's a nice segue to this new product that we have collaborated on. It's called Profit from Your Personality, the ultimate toolkit for attracting and landing more clients you'll love working with. So maybe start with Danielle. Each of us has a product within the product. It's basically a bundle. And we want to talk a little bit about what's in it. So Danielle, we've got an order, Danielle, Lisa, and Ilise. So Danielle, why don't you go first? Tell us what you've added.
Sure. So this is my Personality Light bundle, and it includes two of my most popular downloads, which is my brand positioning worksheet, because you cannot create your framework without knowing who you are, who you serve, what they need, and what you do better than anyone else. And my About Me Mad Libs, which allows you to therefore infuse your personality into your bio, and it gets you out of your head, makes it easy for you to have a starting point because nobody knows where to start, and that's why they don't work on their bios. And it has companion videos that walk you through with real examples on how to fill each of these in and then put the two of them together so that you get this amazing bio or about statement. And then there's a bunch of bonus stuff. So my coveted out of office email freebie, which shows you how to infuse personality in your out of office emails, because I like to say every place is a place for personality. And then I also have my personality brand checklist, which is 10 quick things you can do to make sure that your bio is on point. And I think that's it.
Awesome.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yes. And we'll talk about this idea of personality momentarily. But Lisa, tell us what you contributed to our bundle.
Yeah, so I have Copy Camp for headlines in this bundle. And this is all about these one-liners, these very important one-liners like headlines and email subject lines, calls to action, subtitles, titles, all of those little one-liners that actually are what stop the scrolling, right? So they're like the scroll stopping headlines. They are what catches people's eye and make them click. So when you're out there putting your stuff out there, that's infused with your personality, this is such an important area to also insert the personality so that you can have some powerful one-liners that really grab people's attention so that they'll actually read the things that you're putting out there. So inside Copy Camp for headlines, there are several modules. It's like a mini course, essentially. And we talk about naming and how to do calls to action buttons and links, email subject lines, and then we kick it all off with just kind of some foundational concepts for high converting copy. And I've included, similar to what Danielle has with the brand positioning, I also have a guide called the Define Your Brand Star Power Blueprint. And it's another way to look at your brand positioning. And I love that Danielle and I both have these two pieces in the bundle because sometimes you need to look at that in a few different ways, in a few different angles. So, and it'll help, like every time you sort of see it in a different way, it'll kind of bring forth some new ideas or make you think about it in a different way. So it'll round out what you're doing with your positioning.
Beautiful. And my contribution to the bundle is called the Proposal Oreo Strategy Recipe Book. And I'm very excited about this because I hired an illustrator to basically create an illustrated version of my course that I did for Domestica called Writing a Winning Proposal. And we turned it into an ebook that's illustrated with this Proposal Oreo food metaphor. So it's easy to read. It's beautifully designed. And I'm very excited about that. Plus, there's a video that got left on the cutting room floor, as they say, from the course with a successful web designer who I interviewed about how she leads the qualifying call with confidence. And I'm also including 2 new sample proposals that won the projects, one from a web designer and another from a videographer. So there's definitely something in there for everyone. So all of these 3 things together make up our bundle of bundles, basically. And maybe we can chat a little bit about this idea of profiting from your personality. Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, actually. And I love Danielle's idea of bringing your personality into your work in all the different ways that we possibly can. And we see examples of people doing it, all of us doing it, for example, and it works. But I've also been thinking, often people think, well, you have to have that kind of personality in order for it to work. Or how am I ever going to do what Danielle does or what Lisa does or what Ilise does if I'm not them? So I know you deal with this, Danielle. How do you respond to that, let's say, objection or resistance to the idea of personality?
Well, I mean, I like to say that is the beauty of personality brand, is that you are in control of how much you put into your brand and your messaging. It's not an all or nothing. You don't have to show up at like a raging extrovert and a cheerleader and be like, here I am, come look at me, shiny, shiny, shiny. You can be like very measured. And I would argue that, between the three of us, I'm the most extroverted. And I would think that Lisa and you, Elise, are more on the introverted side. But it's also honing that ability to show up in front of people, but you do it in a way that where you're comfortable. And I think this just takes time, but it's also figuring out what is that one thing that you are comfortable sharing? What is that one piece of your personality that you can bring into your message that will just let you feel like yourself and will let you make those connections? And this is not something that happens overnight. I go back, I listen to previous presentations I've done or podcasts I've done from 2-3 years ago, and it's, monumental difference. And, you think you're confident in one way and then you reflect back and the growth just happens for all of us, even if we are, seemingly so confident and seemingly so extroverted. It doesn't mean that we aren't working on this every single day, and you just have to give it time to get better so that you get more comfortable with who you are and how you want to show up in the world.
And Lisa, I'm thinking about CopyCam for headlines, subject lines, and other pieces of copy where there is kind of a right way to do it or a better way to do it. And I'm curious how you think about integrating one's personality into that kind of, not that it's a formula per se, but it does feel like a balance. How do you think about that balance?
Well, I think where you can really look at that is how you would say something. So there's different concepts that you may want to put into your headline or your subject line, but you might, because you will say it differently than somebody else would. So I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head. One might come to me here in a minute, but
actually, let me just jump in if this will help. Because often I think people think they're supposed to be a certain way, more official, more formal, more professional. And then what they write ends up coming out kind of stilted and rigid and not how they would say it. Right. So, I don't know, work with that.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, I use the word folks a lot. Like I say, hey, folks, or sometimes I even say peeps instead of people. Like that's just the way I say it. So whenever I'm using a word like people or humans or whatever, then I will just say folks or peeps or something like that. So that's how I say it. And that's part of my personality coming through. But the concept of people is still the same. So that's one way that you can infuse personality into these shorter phrases like a headline or a title.
Yeah, I guess that makes me realize that I say y'all constantly now,
yes.
right? That's me and my new personality, because until I moved to Savannah, that was not part of my personality.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right. And let's talk a little bit, actually, and I'll say in terms of the proposal piece, how we bring our personality into that. There's a little secret in the proposal Oreo strategy, which is not really a secret, but which is really working for people who are doing it, is that you present your proposal in person, in real time, and or on a video. And that is such a beautiful opportunity to bring yourself into it. And part of the problem, I think, is that often people don't want to, or they don't like the way they look, or they don't like the way they sound. But I feel like it's really important, Danielle, tell me if you agree with this, to put all of those criticisms of ourselves to the side if possible, because we're the only ones who are so focused on it. And really what we want to do is bring ourselves through so that we can relate better to people.
Absolutely. I mean, they are not looking at your hair or your makeup or your lack of hair or whatever, right? They're looking for your expertise. Do you have the chops to do this job? Have you laid it out in a way that says you understand what the client needs? And then I always say the most important piece is, what are you going to be like to work with? right? Because the expertise is almost always presumed. If you are putting together a proposal, they have come to you for something, you have a skill set. Now it's, we're going to be in this thing together for weeks, months, years. Am I going to like talking to you on the phone? Are we going to gel? Or is there going to be connection? And so that is the most important thing, I think, to come through. So that's why having a proposal where there's a little bit of you in there and is very clear and specific as well about expectations, deliverables, et cetera, is going to make someone get a fuller picture than just here's what you get, which feels very prescriptive.
Yeah. And actually, that reminds me also of the fact that often people think, well, they're going to choose me because of my work, whatever that is, design or copywriting or videography or anything. But I agree. I really don't think it's mostly the work or even the quality of the work, because often they can't tell. It's who you are as a person and how your personality aligns with them.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to mention too, when Danielle was talking about, I guess, the degree to which you can share your personality or have your personality come through, to distinguish that from being personal or too personal in your communication. So I think sometimes the two can get conflated, the personality and being too personal. So I can see sometimes where the concern is that, well, I don't want to be too, like, give too much information, right? I don't want to have to be too personal about what's going on with me and have that be how my personality is coming through. And that's not it at all. You can choose to share as much or as little about what's going on in your life with your potential clients or your audience. But this is more about how you are as a person and how you show up. Circling back to the importance of that coming through, especially in that stage in which you're presenting a proposal or somebody's considering hiring you.
Yes.
Yeah. I know, Danielle, you talk about this a lot. What would you add?
I mean, I talk about it as like a dial, right? You dial it up and you dial it down depending on who you're interacting with, right? And one of my favorite movies is Spinal Tap, and they take the amplifier and they put it on 11, and everyone's like, what do you mean 11? He's like, well, it's not just 10, it goes to 11. Like, it's beyond 10, like it's so much extra. So I feel like you don't have to go to 11. You could go to 2, right? You just have to be above 1. And we're always showcasing parts of our personality, no matter who we're talking to. You may think you're hiding it, but you're not. And so at least this puts you in control of, do they get, 2 or 3 of you, or do they get 8, 9, or 10 of you? And I think that comes with comfort as well, and building that relationship and how you feel about this person. Like, certain people will just bring out more personality in people and certain people won't. And that's also an indicator, right? I think the thing with the proposals that we probably could talk about, Ilise, is it's not just about you wanting to win the business. It's, do you want the business? Like, is this the right client for you? Is this the right fit for you?
I was just thinking that actually, that when you present the proposal, that is obviously an opportunity for them to see what they're going to get, but also for you to see how you're going to be able to relate to this person. And is it someone you want to work with? And is there a chemistry? And as Lisa said, do they bring out the best in you? Because we want to work with the people who bring out the best in us. And yet we don't know, if we do all of our communication on email, if that's going to be the case. So there really have to be these opportunities to be in real time with people and to let our personality come through, and to sometimes make mistakes and sometimes say the wrong thing and learn from it, or see that it really didn't matter because they weren't listening in the first place, right? All of these things that people seem to be so afraid of happening and kind of hiding behind email and text and all of those things.
And I think, if we look at the end of the descriptor of this product, right, it's to work with people that you like, right? To get more clients that you like. That is such an overlooked thing for so many freelancers and solopreneurs. Right? You want to like the people you work with. That's why you are working for yourself. So you don't have to put up with the BS and the nonsense of somebody ordering you around. And so this allows you to find more people that you actually like working with.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So we're going to do two more things before we wrap up here. We're going to add some baby steps. We're going to make some suggestions for baby steps. But before we do that, let's just talk about the magic of collaboration, because this has been really fun to work on together. And, I've never done it like this before, especially with two other people. Sometimes it's easy to collaborate with one other person, but two, that just changes the dynamic. So I don't know, Lisa, do you have thoughts about what it's been like to collaborate?
Well, I'm all about collaboration. In fact, this has been the theme for me this year is collaborating with other experts. So for me, this has been an absolute joy. Plus, I have so much respect for both you, Ilise, and Danielle. So to bring it all together like this has been wonderful. And it's not without its challenges, right? When we've been trying to coordinate our schedules to talk about all of this and bring all of this together. But we've each got different skill sets that we're bringing to the table too, which has been lovely. And I will say that if you are collaborating with someone, to definitely have a central location for the communications around that and any of the materials that you might be developing around that. That's so key. So that's definitely helped us.
Excellent. Danielle, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of working with people that you actually like, I think, I love both of you. So, and also this is my first tri-laboration. I feel like it's not a collaboration, right? When there's three of us. I don't know if there's a word for that, but I was just thinking about that. And I think it's the beauty of people who truly complement what you do, but do other things in your universe just better. Right. And again, like we each have a skill set, but our skill sets also sort of overlap in a lovely way. And even just sort of figuring out like, what are the things we're going to all put into this was very thoughtful and intentional. And I think working with experts, you get different perspectives that are so helpful to think about the approach and to think about how this should work. And like, Ilise said, the timing. And there's just also something about collaboration that it makes you more accountable, but it also takes less, it relieves the pressure because it's not just you. You're not just, you're not isolated. There's connection, there's dialogue. But then also somebody is holding your feet, so to speak, to the fire because we have specific deadlines and timelines to meet. So it's all the best ways of having a team without having a team.
That's so true. And for me this year, and last year a little bit too, it's all about collaboration and getting help and letting other people do what they do best and not thinking I know everything. And so I've really enjoyed this collaboration, even though the three of us we do kind of have big personalities, right? So bringing all three of our personalities together, I think has been really interesting. And also the timing of it. I love the fact that we've just given ourselves time and not rushed into it, because that's a big priority for me these days as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be fun to see for folks, to use my term that I like to use, for folks to see our own personalities coming through in the different resources that are inside this bundle. You'll definitely see that.
Absolutely. All right. So let's do the baby steps. Danielle, do you have a baby step in mind that is related to your piece of the bundle?
I think the first baby step for me is always just remembering that the baby step is the control. That everything about you in life doesn't need to go into your message and your bio. It's okay to discard what's no longer valuable to you and to just think about how do you want to show up versus how you think you should show up. In other words, getting rid of all of the things that you don't want to do anymore, no longer serve you in your, descriptor of who you are, and really leaning on the things that you want to be known for and that you want people to recognize in you.
Excellent. Lisa, how about you?
What comes to mind for me is understanding the power of a name, of naming something. So when we name a service that we have or a resource, an approach, a process, anything that you're doing in your business or creating, the power of the name of that instantly is going to elevate its value. And then the fun comes into, what are you naming it, right? And so, inside Copy Camp for Headlines, they're going to get a lot of ideas for that and some formulas. But just thinking about, just looking across the way, like your body of work and the way that you're working with people. And again, if you've got a particular approach or process, and just thinking about naming those things.
I love that all three of our baby steps, I'll give mine, but I know it's also related to a mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's important, especially as it relates to bringing ourselves more into our work. We have to think about our work differently. And we even sometimes have to think about ourselves differently. And so to me, the mindset shift for the proposal Oreo strategy is just this idea that I'm going to see if this is a good fit for me, this prospect or client, and then I'm going to engage with them over a proposal. The proposal is kind of like just a catalyst. It's an excuse to get to know someone, and out of it may come a project now or later. But if you can go in a very detached way, without an agenda, without trying to grab at them, I think it can be much more fruitful for everyone and really build a stronger relationship for whatever comes out of it. So that's my baby step. It's simple, but it takes time. So I don't want anyone, for all of these, I think, to think, oh, okay, I'm going to wake up and it's going to be my new mindset. It really does take time to make these shifts. Mm-hmm. So anyone want to add anything before we say goodbye?
I was just thinking about the potential for people to sort of maybe feel a little uncomfortable about the term like profit from, because I think so many people get uncomfortable when they're creatives about making money, even though we all, of course, need to make money and should want to make money. And I didn't know if maybe we should just really quickly talk about like the fact that give yourself permission to dream bigger. It's okay to make as much money as possible. It's okay to want these things. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't diminish the value of the work that you bring.
I love that.
Yeah. And I would say too that profit, if you broaden your definition of what profit really means for you too, it's not always about the money. It is, like we've been talking so much about, the joy that comes from working with people you really enjoy working with, and doing projects that you feel very rewarded by. You feel like you're making an impact through your work. That's also, for me, part of the profit.
Yeah.
I love that. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I would like to end by reading the blurb that we wrote together, that we collaborated on, because I think it really sums everything up beautifully. So, profit from your personality, the ultimate toolkit for attracting and landing more clients you'll love working with. And we wrote, learn how to put more of yourself and your personality into your business to gain confidence, comfort, and cash. With a soup to nuts approach, including a dash of Oreo cookie, this bundle of resources covers how to craft your brand positioning, write a great bio, communicate your value through click-worthy one-liners, and write a winning proposal that lands you clients you love. Beautiful. I love that. That was a collaborative effort.
It was. So good.
I'm happy with it. All right, ladies, thank you. We're launching the week of May 22nd. So watch for this in your email box, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I hope you'll try those baby steps we recommended in this personality infusing process. And if you want to check out our new bundle of bundles, Profit from Your Personality, the ultimate toolkit for attracting and landing more clients you'll love working with, you'll find it in the shop at marketing-mentor.com. Or you can sign up for my quick tips, and you'll hear all about it when we officially launch the week of May 22nd. I'll see you next time.